Hey, I'm Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in the digital game, Dungeons and Degenerates Gamblers. This is a blackjack themed game that's a little bit like if you've heard of Balatro, which is a poker themed roguelike game. This is a blackjack themed and in terms of gameplay, a blackjack version of Balatro in a way, where you're competing against a series of opponents in games of blackjack. In an attempt to reduce their life to zero and avoid having your life reduced to zero, which is not something that you find in a normal blackjack game. If you go to the casino, for example. So that is where my favorite mechanism is connected to this game. And so I need to explain a little bit of the mechanisms in that. So you're playing essentially, at least on the very basic level, a normal game of blackjack where you are asking the dealer to give you cards until you decide to stand and not take any more cards. And you're trying to get as close as possible to 21 without going over. And you want your total to be higher than the opponent's. The reason that matters in the game is that if I end up with, say, a 20, my sum is 20, and the opponent has 17 over here, the opponent will lose the difference in life. So 20 minus 17 is 3. My opponent would lose 3 life there, 3 health, moving me towards or closer to beating this opponent. However, and this is my favorite mechanism, in Dungeons and Degenerates Gamblers, if you bust, your score is 0. And so the life difference, the life that you'll lose, is the opponent's number minus 0. So in this case, if I bust, as this player did, 17 minus 0 is 17. Or I guess 0 minus 17 is negative 17. I'm going to lose 17 health as a result. And so there is a strong incentive not to bust in this game. And the game is built around that concept, giving you ways not to bust, to avoid busting. It means really that there are many hands in the game where you might stop at like a 15 or a 16, knowing that you can't win the hand, but where it is more interesting to stop and choose to stop than continue because of the risk of busting and losing a considerably higher amount of health. And I think that's interesting because in blackjack, oftentimes you just risk it. You're like, okay, well, I'm not winning. I know I'm not winning right now, where it doesn't look like I'm going to win. I'll just continue to not win by busting. Whereas this game gives you a huge reason not to bust and to do everything you can not to bust and to build your deck around not busting and build all the bonus cards and bonus abilities that you get around not busting. Quick highlight on some of those mechanisms. For example, there are cards that you can. So this is a deck builder like in Balatro, where you're building a deck of cards. That you're drawing from. So you're getting hit from a specific deck of cards. So I know if I already the card has an 11, that isn't a normal poker card. So if I've already drawn my 9, I know that there probably isn't another 9 in the deck unless I've intentionally added an additional 9. But there are cards that you can add to the deck that are half, like it might be 9.5, and that can act as a 10 or a 9. Or an 8. No, I guess it could add it's a 0.5 card. So it could act as a 0 or a 1, depending on what you want. There are cards that are split. Like I had a card come up that was either a queen of spades or it was a 7 of diamonds. And I could choose when I drew it which card it was going to be. I thought that was really neat. And also there are times where you can remove cards from your deck. And that's a tough and interesting choice in a blackjack game as well. Which cards do you want to remove from your deck to increase the chances that you'll hit blackjack or just have higher values that don't let you bust. And because of the busting mechanism, it also gives you reasons to not necessarily just get rid of high cards, because sometimes you want a low card to just inch closer to the opponent without actually busting. So really interesting roguelike deck builder based on a different game that I think most people know something about or maybe know pretty well, similar to poker with Balatro, blackjack here. But yeah, I think that's I had a good time with Dungeons and Degenerates. I look forward to playing it a little bit more and learning more about it. But most of all, the strong disincentive to busting, even giving players a reason to stay when they know they are not going to lose the hand, is my favorite mechanism in this game. And I'd love to hear yours. If you have played the game, if you've gone deeper into the game, let me know your thoughts and any interesting abilities or anything like that you've discovered while playing the game. That's Dungeons and Degenerates Gamblers.